0 losses, 0 draws, with 6 of his wins by knockout. He is rated #1 in the world and is the PKC U.S. Middleweight Champion. Welcome, please, Rick the Jet Roufus. And in the blue corner, he's 24 years old, 5'10", weighs in at 163 pounds, has a professional karate record of 53 wins, 16 losses, 1 draw, with 34 wins by a knockout. He is kick super middleweight champion of the world, John Moncayo. Our scoring judges are Rick Johnson, Willie Wagner, and Bill McDonald. Our kick judges are Greg Suter and Jeff Pruitt. Our PK state supervisor is Don Willis, and the referee is Bill Clark.
There's Bill Clark, our third man in the ring. He'll bring the fighters to ring center, and we'll have Rick Roufus and John Moncayo square off for the kick super middleweight title. Pat, right off the bat, a contrast in styles between these two, right?
Absolutely. We've got Roufus, who likes to move around the ring, use the whole ring, a lot of jump, spinning moves. Moncayo comes forward, comes straight at you, cuts off the ring, gives you no room to fight. Contrast in style should be interesting. It's anybody's fight.
Moncayo, 53-16-1. He's got more wins by knockout than Roufus. He's got twice as many wins by knockout as Roufus has fights.
Right here, Rick. Well, he's got 70 fights under his belt, Brad.
Face each other and bow. Timekeeper, fight.
Here we go. Super middleweight title on the line. Rick Roufus in the red pants. John Moncayo in the black pants with gold trim.
Moncayo's coming forward, Brad, as I said he would, trying to get Roufus into a corner, just as we expected. Roufus is coming out in a southpaw stance with his right forward.
Johnny Roufus already with about 10 kicks. He's definitely not going to have to worry about the 8 kicks per round, is he?
No, John Moncayo on his part, though, is counting his kicks. He's coming in real hard. He's very explosive, John Moncayo is, and but he's stalking his opponent right now.
Rick Roufus, 20 years of age. Moncayo, only 24. So a couple of young guys that are the future of the sport.
Moncayo doesn't waste a kick. Every kick he throws, he means business. You notice, though, he drops his hand every time he throws the kick, giving away the fact that he's kicking and not punching, allowing Roufus to prepare for it defensively.
Good backlane round kick by Moncayo. Found the left side of Roufus' head, but Rick comes right back. And there's a good left hand. Good combination by Roufus.
Great right hand. Nice counter punch.
Both fighters running into punches there.
You've got Moncayo going primarily for the head. Roufus is striking wherever there's an opening. Again, the elusiveness of Roufus is showing.
Roufus may be the most or best defensive fighter in the whole sport, able to stay out of the way at all times, out of danger.
He can also pace his fight properly also.
You'll see no clenching in these full contact karate bouts. And we start to wind down the end of round 1. Set for round 2, scheduled for 12 for the kick super middleweight title. Rick the Jet Roufus on your right, John Moncayo on the left, and he's been the aggressor, or at least has been coming forward throughout this fight so far.
In some of his recent fights, Moncayo has run into shots coming in. It looks like he has trained very smartly for this fight and has decided he's not going to run into something thrown by Roufus.
Good point, Joe. He's fighting a very nice fight. Making his kicks count, bringing down the hands. Nice kick to the head by Roufus.
Rick is taking shots at John Moncayo. John is not coming in. I don't think he's trying to slip the shots as he should. He's just accepting the shots in the body. As you see, his body is red all over the place already. And Rick is building up points like this.
Rick Roufus, good right hand there. Moncayo keeps coming right in.
Again, Moncayo dropped his hands as he was kicking. Roufus took advantage for that counter punch. Now on the ropes. That's where Moncayo wants to get him. Get him pinned to the ropes.
He's been trying to cut the ring off for the better part of a round and a half, and has only been able to do so once.
Roufus is a very smart fighter. Moves well. Nice counter punch. Using his left hand. Roufus is one of the most ambidextrous fighters I've ever seen. Uses left and right equally as well.
There's a good round kick to the rib cage by Moncayo.
He's on the ropes. He's got him there again. This is where Moncayo will build up points. He'll build him up on the ropes. Roufus in the middle of the ring.
Up to this point, Rick seems to be protecting. Even when he's on the ring, on the ropes, he's protecting himself quite adequately.
And he got Moncayo hurt a bit.
He hurt Moncayo with that shot. Moncayo was off balance and hurt.
I like to watch karate. Then in 1970.
Round 3 underway. Rick Roufus and John Moncayo, and action-packed round 2. Pat, how do you have it scored so far?
I've got Moncayo ahead by a half point. I've got a 19.5-20. It's just a tight match, but Moncayo so far I feel is having things his way.
Moncayo appeared to be a little bit stunned over here in the neutral corner, Johnny Ontario, right before the end of the round. Did you feel that way or not?
Well, I thought because of that Rick took the round away from him, because of that left hook that Rick managed to get in there.
That's where Roufus is so deceptive. Man's in close. You're not expecting him to throw power. That's the way he dropped Larry McFadden when they fought, when he won the U.S. middleweight title for the Professional Karate Commission. He dropped Larry McFadden in close. That's the second time Moncayo's mouthpiece has come out. Remember, in these karate rules, we put it back if it doesn't interfere with the flow of the fight.
Also to remember on the scoring, it's a 10-point must system. 10 points or less. And also 8 strong kicks per round are required. Something to keep in mind. I don't think we'll have any trouble with that with these 4 world title bouts tonight.
Nice combination by Moncayo, but still that counter punch. He ran right into it, as Joe Corley had mentioned a little earlier.
Looking good, Rick. Looking good.
Roufus continues to move well around the ring. Got a right hand there.
Nice cross from John Moncayo, got Rick Roufus' attention on that.
Get him going, John. Remember, Moncayo fought John Longstreet this past October up in Minneapolis. Moncayo was the aggressor all the way through 6th or 7th round. He ran into a stiff, straight punch, and it dropped him. A lot of people wonder if Moncayo has the same chin that he once had.
Moncayo continues to stalk young Rick Roufus from Milwaukee. Roufus will be on his bicycle throughout the fight.
Johnny, what takes more energy, the guy who's being the aggressor or the guy doing the counter punching?
I think the guy that is the aggressor, I think that it takes a lot more energy just moving and try to stalk your opponent, and meanwhile the other one can just move out of the way and slip and make the other one look bad, really.
Pat, do you consider Rick Roufus the more scientific of these two? Obviously Moncayo's got some pretty good strategy coming into this too, but
what you have here is a case where Rick Roufus, I feel, is a better athlete. And if Rick Roufus went into another sport, he'd be outstanding. Moncayo is a fighter. And perhaps in another sport, he wouldn't be as good an athlete. But he is made to fight. He's got a great attitude. Look at him mix it up here, coming forward all the time. Now watch him run into the counter punch here. Bam! Right there. Nice shot by Roufus while he was on the move.
Roufus, in fact, was a tremendous soccer player in high school in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, and still plays on a club level on the weekends when he isn't either working out or running a karate studio with his family or in the ring with somebody like John Moncayo. Scheduled for 12 rounds, and we're set for round 4 as Bill Clark brings them together. Rick Roufus in the southpaw stance. Moncayo, the black pants, on the right of your screen. Good left hand.
Great combination.
Moncayo stunned a bit there, and finally he backs up for the first time tonight.
Another counter punch. Roufus is using that left hand beautifully as a defensive weapon.
Now Roufus starts to mix it up in the middle of the ring, and he is not showing the movement now because I think he feels he's got Moncayo hurt. Pat, that might be a mistake.
Absolutely, but he's got things going his way. The opening's there. He's taking advantage of it. Whatever Moncayo gives him, he takes.
What about the scoring here in the fourth round?
I have the fight even so far, Brad. Though I think that starting to sway toward Roufus. He's starting to land the more solid blows and more consistently. He's making Moncayo miss.
Moncayo has talked to Roufus this entire round.
You notice Moncayo's not so anxious to come forward anymore. He doesn't push him to the ropes. He's run into that counter punch a few times, and he's backing off.
Moncayo's being hit and hurt by punches, Jean-Yves, that I don't think would have hurt him 3 years ago.
I think you're right, Joe. I think that 70 fights under your belt takes something away from you. When Rick Roufus is not a very powerful hitter, although he's very accurate, and he managed to stun John Moncayo in the beginning of this round.
Pat, did you see what Moncayo just did? Maybe showed some of the frustration. He just dropped his hands, kind of looked to the top of the Omni like, I got to figure this kid out.
Yes, he did. But he's picking up the action again.
Starting to wind down, final 15 seconds of round 4.
I think
Roufus is maybe at his best round.
I think yeah, you're right. I think Rick Roufus is pacing himself properly, and he's playing his fight, you know.
Round 4 coming to a close.
1 point.
There's a good look at some of the crowd here at the Omni, some of the pageantry. All 12 playmates from last year are in attendance. That kind of spices the crowd up a little bit. Round 5 scheduled for 12 or less. And Rick Roufus, Pat Johnson, did he start to take over a little bit in the fourth round?
That was by far his best round. I have him a full point up, unofficially, of course, at this point.
Moncayo, good right hand, following a round kick, and chases Roufus over here in the neutral corner.
Look at that defensive footwork then of Roufus. There are very few people in this sport that could have changed direction with that much speed going in one direction.
Johnny, one thing that I noticed is that Moncayo, he's throwing those kicks very powerfully, but he never follows them up. It's kick, stop. And the one time he did follow up, he did score with that right hand.
That's right. And Rick, he's doing the contrary. He's throwing a punch and a kick and following with either a punch or a kick, and he's managing to hit as he did right now.
Yeah, he just did, just as you pointed it out.
Great combo with the left back leg round kick and then a left hand.
And I think this is what makes Rick Roufus a great fighter, is that he can combine both his kicks and his punches.
I was in New York City with Rick Roufus 2 summers ago when he had the chance of sparring with Jean-Yves Thériault at the New York Athletic Club, and Rick was just psyched out. It's going to take him another couple of years, I think, before he's really ready emotionally to get in the ring with Jean-Yves Thériault. Champ, will you still be waiting for him? Or
Well, I plan on living a long time, so you know, Rick. Great spinning back kick on Rick Roufus' part.
And a good right-left combination inside close. Another at Moncayo, again a bit confused by this young man.
Roufus is in complete control now. Again, there's a lack of combinations on Moncayo's part. He's got Roufus dropping his hand to block the kick and then not following up.
Start to come down the end of round 5.
The back fist by Roufus coming up. It's a grazing blow, but what that will do is keep Moncayo from being so anxious to come forward. It sets something up later.
Keeping Moncayo honest, I think, would be a big part for Rick Roufus from this stage on, because he knows he can land the punches and the kicks. He's shown that through the first 5 rounds. How do you guys have it scored so far?
I've got Roufus 2 full points ahead. He's really in control here. He's got Moncayo confused. He's got Moncayo hesitating, and that's the worst thing an offensive fighter can do. There was a great combination by Roufus. Kick, punch. By contrast, Moncayo comes back with just a kick and no follow-up.
Rick is showing a lot of confidence. He's faking his kicks and his punches and trying to catch Moncayo coming in.
Their heads clash there accidentally. Doesn't appear to have any serious results.
A couple good round kicks by Moncayo.
He's throwing him full power, Brad. Now he's got him in the corner. That's where he wants him.
Doesn't last long, does it?
Oh, Roufus is so quick, and his footwork, as Joe mentioned earlier, is so great. He just slips out of there.
Good right-left combo by Roufus. And a good left hand by Moncayo inside.
1-2. Johnny, how should Moncayo change his strategy here to get back in control?
I think he's going to get past Rick Roufus' forward leg, his front leg. He's just staying there and not trying to slip the kick or anything like that. I think he should try to slip and counterpunch.
So he's got to get inside.
He just landed his most serious right hand. Moncayo did. Most serious right hand over in Roufus' corner, snapped his head back, Looked like it took a little steam out of Rick for that moment.
Another spinning back fist. Again, just grazes off the forehead of Moncayo.
That just lets Moncayo know it's there. Boy, a step away spin back kick. This kid is really terrific.
His balance is just phenomenal. No matter how many times you watch Rick Roufus fight, it never ceases to amaze you. Look at that.
I'd like to choreograph some of these moves into some of my movie fights. The kid is really good.
So we've reached the halfway point. The kick, super middleweight title on the line here. And Rick Roufus in his corner. I talked to his dad today. Of course, the entire Roufus family involved in karate with the studios in Milwaukee. And they gave Rick about the last 2 months off from any responsibility. His dad, Pat, told me he didn't have to work at all. All he had to do was work out and prepare for this, because not only the physical preparation, Pat and Johnny, but the mental preparation as well, because this guy is everything we expected. Moncayo is pushing him more than anybody else has.
Absolutely. But you know, Rick Roufus is like a kid in a sandbox. He absolutely loves to be in the ring, and he loves to fight. This is a game to him. It's really fun. His dad has brought him along beautifully. No pressure. He just loves being out there.
Johnny, at what age did you start karate?
I started jiu-jitsu at age 18, and I started full contact karate I was 20.
So this is kind of the baby boomer karate generation we're looking at. These guys have been at it a long time, and maybe that's the difference between the old fighters and the new fighters. Pat.
That's right, absolutely. At the age that Rick Roufus is now, and has 15 years under his belt.
Rick Roufus.
Moncayo is being very cautious now, Brad. That's not his style.
Moncayo, remember, has 34 knockouts, and Roufus has only 16 fights.
I think what you mentioned earlier on about those spinning punches keeping him honest is working. Rick is actually keeping Moncayo blinking and away from him.
I kind of get the feeling, Shawnee, that Roufus feels he's ahead and is coasting a little bit. He's not pressing as hard.
Oh, beautiful punch. He didn't coast with that left hand. It might be all over. Moncayo is flat on his back. Bill Clark stands over him with the count. There's no way Moncayo is going to get up from that left. This one's all over.
That's out.
There's a new super middleweight champion of the world. And it's Rick the Jet Roufus at age 20 has just stunned John Moncayo with a big